Let's get right into it. Number 10. The book that predicted the Titanic. In 1898, 14 years before the Titanic sank, a novelist named Morgan Robertson wrote a book called Futility. The plot? A massive, unsinkable luxury ship called the Titan hits an iceberg in the North Atlantic and sinks because there aren't enough lifeboats. Already uncomfortable, but it gets worse. The Titan and the Titanic were nearly the same length. Both were described as the largest ships ever built. Both traveled similar routes. Both struck icebergs at similar speeds. Both sank in April. Both were considered technologically unbeatable. Robertson wasn't a prophet. He was a maritime nerd. He understood ship design and trends so well that he accidentally predicted one of the most famous disasters in history with horrifying accuracy. Historians agree this wasn't supernatural, but that doesn't make it less unsettling. Because it shows how human confidence, arrogance, and shortcuts repeat so reliably that catastrophe becomes predictable. Basically, history didn't copy the book. The book copied human behavior. Number 9. The Men Who Looked Like Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln had a secretary named John, and a secretary named John Wilkes Booth killed him. Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846. John F. Kennedy was elected in 1946. Lincoln was elected president in 1860. Kennedy in 1960. Both were shot on a Friday. Both were shot in the head. Both were with their wives. Both were succeeded by men named Johnson. Andrew Johnson, born in 1808. Lyndon B. Johnson, born in 1908. And yes, Booth fled a theater and was caught in a warehouse. Oswald fled a warehouse and was caught in a theater. Historians will tell you this is coincidence mixed with selective pattern recognition. And they're right. But the human brain isn't built to calmly accept that this much overlap can be meaningless. When timelines start syncing like this, it feels like reality glitching. Basically, history sometimes rhymes so aggressively it feels intentional. Number 8. The two strangers who became identical lives. In the 1970s, two identical twins were separated at birth and adopted by different families without knowing the other existed. Years later, they reunited. Both were named Jim by their adoptive parents. Both married women named Linda, then divorced, then married women named Betty. Both named their dogs Toy. Both had sons with the same name. Both worked similar jobs. Both had the same habits, hobbies, and even smoking patterns. This case, along with several others, became legendary in psychology. It didn't prove fate or destiny. What it proved was something creepier. That genetics shapes way more of your personality than you want to believe. Historians and scientists agree this wasn't magic. It was biology nudging choices in eerily similar directions. Preferences, temperament, attraction, routine. Basically, free will might be real, but it's on a very short leash. Number 7. The Curse of Tamerlane. In 1941, Soviet archaeologists decided to open the tomb of Tamerlane, a brutal conqueror who once ruled much of Central Asia. According to legend, an inscription on the tomb warned, "Whoever opens my grave will unleash an invader more terrible than me." They opened it anyway. 2 days later, Nazi Germany launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest invasion in human history, attacking the Soviet Union with over 3 million troops. Coincidence? Almost certainly. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. In 1942, after the Soviets began losing catastrophically, the remains were reburied with full Islamic rites. Shortly after that, the tide of the war began to turn. Stalingrad happened. Germany started losing. Historians will tell you this was logistics, winter, and military strategy, not a curse. And they're correct. But even hardened Soviet generals reportedly took the story seriously. Because when timing lines up, that cleanly rational explanations start sweating. Basically, sometimes history chooses the worst possible moment to support superstition. Number 6. The Lightning Magnet Man. There was a man named Roy Sullivan, a park ranger in the United States. He was struck by lightning. Once? No. Twice? Still no. 7 times. Over the course of his life, Roy was struck by lightning 7 separate times and survived all of them. Different locations, different storms, different years. One strike even burned his hair off. Another knocked him unconscious. Another hit his hat. Statistically, the odds of this happening are so low they border on absurd. Scientists have tried to explain it. His job kept him outdoors, he lived in storm-prone areas, and lightning is more random than people think. All true? Still doesn't make it feel okay? Roy didn't seek storms. Storms seemed to seek him. At some point, coincidence stops feeling accidental and starts feeling personal. Basically, the universe picked a guy and said, "Not you again? Actually, yes, you again." Number 5, the bullet that didn't miss. During World War I, a soldier named Henry Tandy reportedly spared the life of a wounded enemy soldier who had wandered into his sights. He chose mercy and let the man go. Years later, that man would allegedly become Adolf Hitler. Now, historians argue about this one. The encounter can't be proven definitively. But Hitler himself later claimed it happened and even kept a painting depicting Tandy. If true, it means one moment of compassion may have altered the course of history in the worst possible way. Even if it's not fully accurate, the story sticks because it highlights something deeply unsettling. History doesn't hinge on grand plans. It hinges on tiny human decisions made in seconds. Basically, the future can pivot on someone lowering a weapon and choosing kindness at the wrong time. Number 4. The twin disasters of Pompeii and Herculaneum survivors met again. When Mount Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD, it wiped out entire cities, Pompeii and Herculaneum, freezing thousands of lives in place. Here's the coincidence part people don't expect. Archaeologists have found evidence that some survivors of Pompeii later lived in nearby cities, rebuilding their lives, only to later die in another eruption or disaster years afterward. In a few cases, names found in inscriptions and records appear in multiple disaster zones. That means some people escaped one of the most infamous catastrophes in history just to be taken out by a sequel. Statistically, that's brutal. Historians explain this by geography. Southern Italy was volatile. People didn't move far. Danger zones overlapped. Rational explanation? Absolutely. Emotionally? It feels like history rolling the same dice twice on the same people. Basically, survival doesn't always mean escape. It sometimes just means delayed chaos. Number 3. The library that burned repeatedly. The Library of Alexandria didn't just burn once. It was damaged, destroyed, rebuilt, and destroyed again over centuries by different empires, different leaders, different wars. Julius Caesar's fire. Christian decrees. Muslim conquest. Political neglect. Every era found a new way to erase knowledge. Historians still debate how much was lost each time. But here's the coincidence. Every civilization that valued it also failed to protect it. Different people, same outcome. It's not a curse. It's human behavior repeating itself. Short-term power beating long-term preservation every single time. Basically, the greatest storehouse of knowledge in the ancient world didn't fall because of fate. It fell because humans are incredibly consistent at destroying what they need most. Number 2. The presidents who died on July 4th. Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, 2 founding fathers, political rivals, and former friends, both died on July 4th, 1826. That date marked exactly 50 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Adams' final words were reportedly, "Thomas Jefferson survives." He was wrong. Jefferson had died hours earlier. Historians will tell you this was old age and coincidence. And again, they're right. But the symbolism is so perfect it feels scripted. 2 men who defined a nation exited it on the anniversary of its birth together, unknowingly. Basically, history sometimes writes endings so poetic they feel fake. Number 1. The war that started because of a sandwich. In 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand survived an assassination attempt when a bomb missed his car. Later that day, his driver took a wrong turn. The car stalled, right in front of a cafe, where the assassin who had given up and was eating a sandwich just happened to be standing. One wrong turn, one stalled engine, one bored man with a gun, and World War I began. Historians agree this wasn't destiny. It was a cascade of errors, but that's what makes it terrifying. The biggest conflict in history didn't start with a grand plan. It started with bad navigation and lunch. Basically, history doesn't hinge on dramatic moments. It hinges on tiny, stupid coincidences colliding at the worst possible time. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.